What's up guys, this is Nick from Stridewise.com outside of London, UK with Mohsin Sajid. How's it going?
Hello.
Mohsin is a denim historian and consultant, and he has created his own denim brand and he travels all over the world doing denim documentaries. He is the legend. He is a denim knowledge on two legs. He's omniscient. He knows everything. And a question that I'm often asked in this world of fancy, raw, often Japanese denim, every time you buy a pair of jeans or a jacket, it'll say sanforized or unsanforized. And very few people, I think, really know what those terms mean. I barely know what it means myself. I largely know that if it's unsanforized, it's more likely to shrink, but that doesn't quite mean it's the same as washed, and a lot of people think it is. So this is mostly going to be Mohsin talking because I'm grossly uneducated on this, and I'm on the journey with him, just like you guys are. So
yeah.
What is sanforized and unsanforized?
Okay, when you buy any kind of denim style from the store, okay, the kind of people that I guess who are watching this probably buy a lot of raw denim, I imagine, right? So they break their own jeans in. So yeah, you can buy raw denim and it comes sanforized or unsanforized. What that basically means is, just before the style's been made, obviously it's woven on like a loom. This is a selvage fabric, so it's woven on a selvage loom, but it's basically a process of treating the fabric just before it's being cut on a massive like machine, and it kind of shrinks the fabric. It sorts out skewing. So if you ever have a graphic t-shirt and over time the graphic starts to move, that's skewing, and that's all related to how the cotton's been spun.
It's like twisting.
It's twisting, yeah, and you find that on early denim styles that are unsanforized, they will skew. And us denim heads, we love that. I love skewing. Most people don't. They're like, oh, it has to be dead straight. I want it to fit me every single time I want it washed. So a way that some brands do it now, and this is a process that was invented in like the 30s, is they get the fabric and they put it through a massive sort of sanforization machine. This machine is bigger than a football pitch. It's really, really large.
What is a sanforization
process?
Yes.
It's basically a way of treating fabric, mostly cotton-based garments or for fabrics, that basically kind of shrinks it, it aligns the fabric, and it gets rid of most of the shrinkage, and it's still raw.
How does it do that?
It does it with heat rollers, it does it with steam. There's many different processes, but the sanforization process has been patented and many people do it now, but it's mostly through heat rollers. They do slightly dampen the fabric and they stretch it and they steam it really quickly and they iron it again. So you put it through one end and it comes out looking the same on the other end actually. But in some cases, the denim would have already been pre-shrunk by even a couple of inches. So they've got rid of most of that shrinkage in that process.
Okay, so if I'm describing the sanforization process, independent of like what it means for when you're wearing it practically. Sanforization is after it's been woven on the loom, the denim gets treated with heat. And usually with a bit of water as well.
Yeah, heat and steam, not really water, but they use
sometimes it's damp.
Sometimes they put some chemicals through it. There's many different terms, many different ways, and sometimes it can be done in a way that you don't lose any energy or any water. It can be in a closed loop system. So there's many more sustainable ways of doing it.
Just because we're talking about sanforized versus unsanforized, I want to really define the terms. Sanforizing typically happens with heat and maybe a little bit of water to dampen it. What are the other ways of sanforizing? You said there are lots of ways.
Yeah, it's different chemical processes. There's also machines that other companies have invented that do it with ozone technology. So you use water from the air to treat the fabric. There's ways of doing it with hardly no water. So now there's newer types of technologies that don't use large amounts of water to sanforize the fabric. They do exist now.
Okay, but whatever way they do it, when it's sanforized, it is less likely to twist and less likely to shrink.
It will still shrink slightly, but not as much as...
Less likely.
Yeah, I have to be careful how I say that.
Yeah.
But most fabrics that you buy, you can either find out if it's been sanforized or unsanforized. I personally like it when it's unsanforized. So I love it when it shrinks. I love it when all the skewing happens. Me personally as a designer, I love that. But I know if someone else was buying a pair of jeans, they'll get very irritated after the first wash. It shrinks by 3 inches. They would actually be annoyed. They'll think it's a fault in the fabric. It's the brand. They'll probably complain about it.
Right, but cotton in general is going to shrink on the first wash.
Yeah, and generally,
if it's sanforized, it's less like it already shrinks a little bit doing
there's
that.
Still some shrinkage, but not as much.
Sanforizing is not the same as washing. Sometimes you get jeans that'll say one wash or not washed.
Washing jeans and sanforizing jeans is different. It's different because when you wash at home, you're laundering at home. Some people do cold washes, some people do 30 degrees, 40 degrees. The temperatures completely change the fabric.
Yes.
Like every fabric, and not only that, every fabric that's produced is done on a certain loom. It's done with a certain type of indigo. You don't know where the cotton has come from. There's so many variables in the world of denim. It gets very confusing. So, best bet, if you're gonna buy a pair of jeans and you want it to fit you for a long time, maybe go for a Sanforized pair. It's already been slightly pre-shrunk. It's still raw, which is awesome. You can still break it in the same way you would do, but it would, instead of shrinking by 2 inches on the length, we might lose 1 cm or something.
Raw means unwashed.
Raw in the denim world means unwashed, yes.
Okay, so when it's one wash or non-washed, that's saying not raw or raw.
Unwashed is still not washing. One wash means it's been rinsed. So they probably added water with it. They probably added softener with it to make it more softer, and then they've ironed it and they've pressed it.
And that makes it not raw.
It's not raw, but you can still break it in. Your jacket now is a raw jacket. It's loom state. Loom state means it's directly directly off the roll. Nothing.
Oh, so this is going to shrink when I wash it, right?
Yeah, that's going to shrink. Unless it was a Sanforized fabric, we don't know. I don't know if you found out.
It's good. It's a little bit boxy, I guess.
I imagine it's not. I imagine it's Unsanforized. If it's a Japanese brand like the one I think it is, then it's probably Unsanforized. So it's good that you got it so it's a bit more roomier.
Okay.
It will shrink.
Now, as a denim maestro, why is it again that you prefer Unsanforized?
I'm one of these people that loves when things shrink. So I love it when you get puckering around the pocket and you get all these lovely things going on. And I love it also, this might be frowned upon. I like it when the side seams start to twist and the inseam starts sort of like twisting. You get this a lot on.
You like mutant jeans?
Not mutant jeans. I like that's how they were made. If you go back to the 30s and 40s, everything was made like that. Being a denim designer and a historian who looks at old garments and I go, oh, I love that garment, or I love that pocket, how it's warped and everything about it's twisted. It's hard to recreate that. Sometimes you have to go back and use fabrics that do that. Rather than engineering your pattern to twist, you can just buy the fabric and it does the work for you.
All right, so you get your Sanforized jeans and they're more likely to have a more consistent fit and to not warp and twist as much. However, it's not quite as authentic and heritage, and also doesn't produce quite as much variety and character as it would if it were Unsanforized.
But there's no reason why you make a pattern that you like and you design that twist in the pattern and then you use a Sanforized fabric to do it. So you can still get that twist.
You can still have it be something that'll twist and do the rest of it and be Sanforized if you design it at the outset to be Sanforized and still experience that.
Correct.
Okay.
So let me give you an example. This is actually a like repro example from a Japanese brand called Real McCoy's. Lovely brand. I found this particular one in a vintage market. But what's great about it is it's a clear example of the leg twist I was talking about. If you notice the side seam, it disappears and it goes round the back of the leg. So earlier styles, pre-Sanforization, would have had this kind of leg twist. And brands like Wrangler, they were not too keen on it at all. So they came up with the broken twill, which is that zigzag pattern. And they had it on their jackets as well. Only because the left and right shrink differently. So this particular one is both left and right, so it shrinks at an even rate. So you get less of a twist. So this particular one is a right hand twill. So it twists anyway, but because it was an Unsanforized fabric, it's twisted even more. But I love it. I don't have any issues with this leg twist. But nowadays, most brands, they use some Sanforized fabric because they want their side seams to remain straight.
Okay, so besides the fact that they'll shrink if they're Unsanforized, the other thing that is that there's a chance it'll happen, a decent chance, is that the more they wear, the more the seam is going to twist around like that.
Yeah, and
but that doesn't affect comfort or anything like that. It's
really.
like purely an aesthetic thing that some people don't
Purely,
like.
yeah, but some people don't like it because they think it's a fault in the fabric or it's a fault in the garment. But actually, this was quite normal. And obviously, many brands realized that they need to make sure their customers are happy. So that's why they invented the newer ways of pre-treating the fabric so you have less of this problem.
It doesn't affect durability or comfort. It's just some people don't like a twisty.
You notice this one's it's twisted quite heavily by, it looks like about 2 or 3 inches. Some people wouldn't like that. So, it's twisted by, that's already like 1 inch, like towards the hem, it's like sort of twisted. But I think it's a sign of pure class.
A lot of people will probably hear this and be like, oh, well, I like vintage kind of looks. Maybe I'll go with Unsanforized from now on. The main problem with it, the main thing to know, the main warning when deciding Sanforized versus Unsanforized might sound cooler to a lot of people, and for many people it is, but you are taking something of a gamble with the sizing because it's going to shrink on the first wash. Like my first pair of raw denim, Studio Data Zen, I got it from Selvedge in New York City, and I didn't know what was going on when it was too big, and they said that's perfect, go home and put it in hot water in a plastic bag. I didn't know what was happening. Fortunately, it went out fitting pretty well, but you won't be able to try on the size you'll get if it's unsanforized. The size you'll get is what you'll get after it's washed.
What, like Levi's and some of our other friends say is like, you know, buy a size that's slightly bigger than you, or what I always tell people is like, if you're wearing a pair of jeans, you can just about do the button up, the top button, just about, or even not do it up.
Yeah.
Because also when you buy any kind of garment that's raw, not only does it shrink, it also loosens up as well. So is that shrinks and loosens, you know, so is that, it's hard. But the rule of thumb is to buy slightly bigger. If you're doing this whole raw denim journey, I would say buy slightly bigger.
Okay, if it's unsanforized, buy slightly bigger and make peace with the fact that you won't know how it fits until after it's washed.
But there's nothing wrong with sanforized either. I have no objections to it. I think, you know, more people like it because they know what they're getting. They know after their first rinse or even after their first year of wash, after they've washed it 3 or 4 times, it will still fit them really nicely.
All right, there it is. The pros and cons of sanforized and unsanforized jeans. Mohsin has his own brand and rhyme. It's I'll put in the description below if you want to check it out. He clearly knows what he's talking about. He's also a lecturer. I think I missed that. He travels all over the world giving lectures to like fashion and patent making students and everything. Really knows his stuff. So it's very interesting to see what he's come up with for his own brand. Yeah, check that out and subscribe here if you just kind of went up here because I got lots more content on jeans and heritage, clothes making and boots and all other kinds of old but cool stuff coming up.